So gather round, let the stories begin in the realm of Sunday spice, where joy always wins with Shizzywhiznut leading the way. We'll laugh and we'll smile through night and day. Sunday spice, a show of delight, written by and all the voices that ignite. From dictionary teeth up to Kaiser pineapples, mind. Each guest brings the magic for just one night.
Good evening, everybody. We've got a good crew here tonight, I think.
We're back, baby! Yes!
Yay!
Well, and this was a hard project to get back to doing because, well, it just is. But we have tonight a Fellowship of the Ring, a modern parody. And it starts out with Chapter 1, a long-expected block party. The Cheeks was a neighborhood that very much preferred its comforts. The hedges were square, the lawns close cropped, the mailboxes beige, and the bylaws thicker than the local phone book. Though far less entertaining to read, it was the sort of place where nothing ever happened, and the farts liked it that way. Newsworthy events were limited to the occasional bake sale, an outbreak of crabgrass, or a spirited argument about whether the community pool should admit guests on holidays.
Well, you can go to the clinic, get that crabgrass taken care of. I'm just saying.
And yet, in even such a place, there lived farts who could not quite manage to be ordinary, however much their neighborhoods wished it. Chief among these was Mr. Black Beans of number 3 Circle Drive. Well, Mr. Beans was peculiar, though in a fashion that many found secretly delightful. He had a round belly, a booming laugh, and a twinkle in his eye that suggested he knew something he wasn't telling.
Is his real name
He is
Santa?
allowed near schools, right?
No, he's allowed near schools.
You sound like
Okay.
Santa.
He was generous with his food and his fireworks, and he had a knack for making people feel that life was merrier.
Oh, he's just a
in his
hillbilly.
company.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I run the fireworks tent out on Route 12. You see me at the 4th of July. All right.
Oh my God! If the Shire was Appalachia,
Yes!
Yes!
and the farts, the mom and them were a good clan. I mean, as you know, they don't talk about you out the Piggly Wiggly unless you're, stepping out.
That's right. That's right.
You know that's right.
He had a knack for making people feel that life was merrier with his company than it had been the hour before. Still, he was too irregular to sit comfortably in the heart of the Cheeks.
He needs some of that
Well.
magnesium.
For one thing,
Maybe
he
it's a little
disappeared.
moist.
Well, he disappeared. And not once, not twice, but frequently, and for stretches long enough that the HOA began drafting fines before realizing no one could quite explain what rule he had broken. He would
That doesn't
vanish
stop
without a word.
HOAs.
No.
No corn. No corn in your front yard.
Why? And return weeks or months later looking tan, cheerful, and carrying objects no one could identify. He would never say where he had been nor why, and the more anyone asked, the more outrageous his answers became. Spent a fortnight at Walmart, he once told Mrs. Goodbar. Negotiated peace with the raccoons, he told Mr. Jones gravely. Went camping in Mordor, he confided to a child who promptly burst into tears. The farts learned not to press him, though they speculated endlessly. Some said he had a fortune in secret stocks, others that he played high-stakes poker with outlaws, and still others, half in jest, that he had once burglared a dragon's hoard. For one thing, he was far too generous for a man with no visible occupation. Farts who quarreled often found a smoked brisket on their doorstep. He sponsored the Little League team once a year, though he insisted they call themselves the Fire Breathers. He had once turned the 4th of July fireworks into an all-night display that left several residents swearing they had seen dragons in the sky. The HOA nearly revoked his membership, but the children voted him honorary mayor of fun. And that was that. Mr. Blackbeans lived with his young cousin, though most of the farts called him his nephew, Frankenbeans. Now, Frank had come to number 3A after his parents were lost, and what the town still whispered was a boating accident in the retention pond. No one could explain how a pond barely 3 feet deep could swallow a pair of grown beans, but since no bodies were ever found, the story was allowed to stand. Frank was not so peculiar as his guardian, although he was not ordinary either. He was quiet, polite, and had an inviolable skill of appearing to listen without ever promising to do anything. He rarely quarreled, rarely volunteered, and rarely showed up to anything on time, yet he was well liked. A good lad, most said. Lazy, but good. He had the unfortunate beanish look, broad
Say the
feet,
same
sharp
thing about me.
nose.
Lazy, but good.
Oh, and you're an unfortunate beanish look with broad feet, sharp nose, and eyes that hit
Funny,
at
he
questions
doesn't
better
look
left
beanish.
unmasked.
Funny.
Figured if we were going Spaceballs to search for
That's
more
right.
money, we'd go Truish.
Right.
He also had the beanish habit of attracting odd company. Some said Frank would never amount to much, others that he might surprise them yet, but in the cheeks, the beans were tolerated. And Frank was no exception. Do you want to take over there for a second, Mo?
Okay. Of course, there was gossip. There was always gossip. Miss Pemberley claimed Mr. Beans had once been seen hauling barrels of gold into his basement. Mr. Tiller insisted he'd heard chanting from 3A one night and swore he glimpsed robed figures going through the curtains. Young Timmy Grant swore up and down that Mr. Beans had shown him a real sword, not one that would get Chris Henson called an actual one, which promptly vanished when he told his mother. Also, like when Chris Hansen comes. Most dismiss these tales with a laugh or a YouTube click and a like, though they secretly hoped for more.
Nice,
Yet
Mo.
for all of his oddities, Mr. Blackbeans was a respected fart, if only because no one could imagine the cheeks without him. He left his mark there. His fireworks lit the cul-de-sacs, his barbecue filled the streets with smoke, his stories kept the long summer nights lively. The HOA huffed and bitched and moaned, but like ineffective Karens everywhere, they continued to do nothing quickly. The children adored him, just like Santa Claus or that weird guy that gives them candy that does tell them not to tell their moms.
Ew.
But even the more popular farts admitted that life would be terribly dull if number 3A were just another beige house. And so, when it was announced, quietly at first, then loudly, that Mr. Blackbeans was planning a celebration, the entire Cheeks leaned forward to listen. Not just a birthday, but his 11st-ish, mid-half-century, I Beat Nick Cannon birthday block party. It was whispered he had ordered enough fireworks to outrival Joe Dirt on the 4th. Enough food to feed an army of big, beautiful women. Enough beer to float a big, beautiful woman. And rumors of special guests and strange surprises. Don't eat the ham salad after 12. That's not a surprise. That's just a recommendation. So surprises, spread through book clubs and backyard fences. Now, the HOA naturally was in an uproar. 2 emergency meetings were held, letters drafted and delivered, noise ordinances were cited and permits demanded, chickens sacrificed, a normal HOA meeting, curfews threatened, your firstborn asked for their blood type, things that every normal HOA does.
Yes.
But no one really believed Mr. Beans could be stopped. He had a way of wiggling out of such things or laughing them off even the sternest official felt foolish. The children, for their part, were beside themselves, usually because their mother would ask them to stand with their sibling and they'd rather stand beside themselves. With excitement, they spoke of dragons made of fireworks and bounce houses that touch the sky, treasure hunts and roasted marshmallows, diabetes and sugar. The teenagers planned mischief of their own, Boone's Farm and a Samsonite. Though admitted privately that they would behave, if only to see what the man would do. Fallstrom, you want to take the next one?
As for the adults, they grumbled, they muttered, they wrote letters, they put chicken sacrifices on the front door, and they all polished their folding chairs, for not one intended to miss it. And so the talk of the Cheeks for many weeks was of the party at number 3A. Everyone knew it would be the greatest event the cul-de-sac had ever seen. Everyone knew something extraordinary was bound to happen because, believe me, he brought in enough shine. And those who knew Mr. Blackbean's best or thought they did added quietly, and after this, he may not be here at all. Well, he'd probably have a damn heart attack on the front lawn.
He got the meat sweats.
Exactly. The Cheek soon found itself talking a little less, for in the neighborhoods where nothing happened, everything is worth talking about. It began in whispers over fences and in the aisles of the local grocery store between the mac and cheese and the manwich. Mrs. Pemberley was the first to speak plainly. She told her bridge club she had seen 3 men unloading. See, I told you he'd bring in damn moonshine. Unloading barrels at number 3. Great iron barrels. Now you're supposed to put them in wood. With strange markings on them, rolled right up to the walk as if such a thing were common. Mr. Jones, who prided himself on being a nosy-ass busybody, knowing all the comings and goings from his front window, creeper, swore that he had counted at least a dozen crates in a single week, all stamped with the unnerving words, "Why are you looking over here, you creepy-ass man?" I mean, handle with care.
I thought it was going to be fragile.
Fragile. That's Italian. Children, of course,
It's a bowling alley.
Children, of course, took the matter further. They declared that the barrels were full of dragon smoke, or that the crates held treasure maps, or even that Mr. Beans was secretly building a rocket ship in his garage. Young Timmy Grant, who had a talent for lying his ass off, insisted that he had seen a sword gleaming through the curtains of the living room like a lightsaber. Though when pressed, he admitted it may have been a very shiny broom. His friends believed him anyway because, well, it was more fun than just saying he was full of shit. The adults were less fanciful, but no less talkative. They shook their heads at one another and muttered about that Beans feller. Mrs. Myrtle Goodbar, dear Lord, what a name. President of the HOA, her real name was Karen, was especially severe. She had written 3 official letters already. One of them quoting the bylaws about anticipated disruption of neighborhood peace. If she'd go get a piece, she wouldn't have to worry about it. She made a great show of carrying her clipboard up and down Circle Drive, noting every delivery and every extension cord. Mark my words, she said, this will end in sirens and citations. But when pressed on what
like
rule...
all my dates.
Oh.
I mean, that's how you got to live it. But when pressed
Go
on
big
what
or
rule...
go home.
That's right. That's right. But when pressed on what rule precisely Mr. Beans had broken, well, she didn't have time to come up with a good lie. Truth was, the HOA had long tried to bring Mr. Beans back to heel, and never with success because, well, you can't keep a good redneck down.
Nope.
There had been the 4th of July debacle when his fireworks show had accidentally summoned a flock of geese that refused to leave the pool for 3 days. Kind of surprised it didn't blow up the geese. There had been the infamous chili cook-off when his recipe was so potent it ate through the bottom of the crock pot and left a permanent scar on the clubhouse counter, and they were out $20.
Oh no, not a crock pot.
And there had been the dragon incident. Whispered of, but never quite explained, which ended with scorch marks on the tennis courts.
That was just sex.
Oh,
And the HOA deciding to never speak of it again. So yeah, you're right.
they had video.
They have video though from a
That's how
camera
they're paying
that's
their
not
fees.
that doesn't work. After such failures, the wiser members of the board concluded that Mr. Beans, well, we just need to leave that feller alone, and that the best they could do was issue citations and hope for the best. Still, the gossip flowed. Some said that he had invited every fart in the cheeks and half the next town besides. Others whispered that famous people would appear, though who counted as famous varied widely depending on the teller. Mrs. Pemberley claimed to have it on good authority that a country music singer was coming. Mr. Tiller, who had never left Ohio in his damn life, was certain that foreign dignitaries were involved. The teenagers said it was a rock band, while the children hoped for clowns, though no two could agree which clowns were delightful or terrifying. Diva?
Oh. Frankenbeans heard all of this, though he tried not to listen. He knew his cousin's ways well enough. Black Beans was full of secrets and full of plans, and when he said a party would be grand, it would be grand indeed, but rarely in the way people expected. Frank fetched crates when asked, strung lanterns in the party tree, and tried to ignore the low, uneasy feeling that this was not just another one of his cousin's spectacles. Preparations grew by the day. Lights were strung across the street until the cul-de-sac looked ready to host a carnival. Barrels filled the backyard, though no one could say with what. And the smell of smoke and spice drifted through the evenings, and farts found themselves hungry for things they could not name. Oh my, the children dared each other to creep closer, peeking through fence slats and swearing they heard laughter inside the barrels. The teenagers plotted to sneak in, though they never quite got past daring one another. Even the adults, for all their muttering, were restless with anticipation. They polished their folding chairs, scrubbed their coolers, and practiced their polite faces for when something outrageous happened. For no one truly believed that Mr. Blackbeans would give an ordinary party. Not after all these signs. Something strange was bound to occur, something beyond their usual cookouts and card games. And so they grumbled and fretted, though they shook their heads and spoke of that Beans fellow. Every soul in the Cheeks knew the truth. When the day came, not a one of them would stay home.
You
At
could have just said,
last.
"Tain't no one RSVPing no."
They all coming. Come on.
Come
At
to the cheeks.
last,
What?
at last, the long-anticipated morning arrived, bright and clear. The Cheeks woke early, for no one wished to miss a moment of what promised to be the most memorable event on Circle's Drive, long in uneventful history. By mid-morning, folding chairs were lined along the sidewalks, and cars crowded the street from end to end. Children ran about in packs, darting through sprinklers, waving sparklers they had somehow acquired before sundown. The party tree, an old ornamental maple at the center of the cul-de-sac, was hung with lanterns and strings of colored bulbs which twinkled merrily even in the daylight. Tents had been pitched, grills set roaring, and the air was thick with the smell of meat and spice.
Well, sounds like an orgy.
The fox arrived.
I mean, if there's ribs, count me in. I'm just
I don't mind getting my hands dirty now. Oh God. The Fots arrived in cheerful procession, each carrying some token offering. Miss Pemberley brought her potato salad, which no one liked, but everyone praised. Mr. Jones arrived with 3 coolers of beer, boasting loudly that he had connections at the distributor. I bet
All
he does.
Bud Light. All Bud Light.
Though in truth he had only gone early to the store. Myrtle Goodbar of the HOA carried her clipboard, swearing she was only there to observe and report. Yet her sharp eyes lingered on the ribs, and her stern mouth softened after her second lemonade.
Spiked lemonade.
Bet it was.
Here, let me put something in this for you.
have you ever tried
really
Aqua
good.
Dots?
Here, this is a special concoction I call Absolute.
Oh my. Black Beans himself was everywhere at once. He hustled, and bustled, from grill to tent to table, greeting every guest with a clap on the back and a booming laugh. He wore a bright shirt patterned with chili peppers, an apron that read, "Kiss the cook or else," and a hat shaped suspiciously like a dragon's head.
I swear
Children-
the expert wore that for 4th of July one year.
I
Yep.
think he did.
I bet he
That
did.
exact outfit.
Yep. I could see that.
Children swarmed about them, tugging at sleeves, begging for fireworks, while the adults smiled indulgently despite themselves. Frankenbeans lingered at the edge of the festivities, cup in hand, watching with his usual mixture of affection and worry. He loved his cousin, no doubt about it, but he knew too well that parties given by Mr. Beans had a way of turning peculiar. There was something in the air, some charge, some weight that made Frank uneasy, though he could not have said why.
And he couldn't find a candle to light anywhere.
Oh, games began as the sun climbed higher. There were sack races for the children, water balloon battles for the teenagers, wet t-shirt contests for the cougars, and a tug of war that left half the HOA committee sprawled in the grass. Much
Or it
to
was
the
a wet
delight.
t-shirt contest.
Much
It
to
was
the
the whole Olympics. And I helped.
It was much to the delight of everyone else. Music played from a band under the party tree, growing louder as the afternoon wore on until several elderly farts, oh my gosh, they must not smell well, retreated indoors with tutting remarks about today's noise. Yes, Shizzy.
Yet, even as they peeked from their curtains, unwilling to miss what might happen next, and happen it did. For just as the party reached its height, when the smell of barbecue was the strongest and the laughter the loudest, an odd rumbling was heard at the end of Circle Drive, and those heads turned. Children squealed, and into the cul-de-sac rolled a van, dented, dusty, plastered with a bumper sticker that contradicted one another. Support local dragons, down with trolls. Tacklings do it with more grace. Then the engine coughed. The horn tooted twice, quite without cause, and from the driver's seat emerged a tall, gray-bearded figure in a long coat. It was Gary, the Gray. And his arrival caused nearly as much stir as the party itself. "Gary's here!" cried someone. "Didn't he set off fireworks at the golf course that one year?" muttered another. "He's the maneth," declared Myrtle Goodbar, though she clutched her lemonade more tightly. "He owes me $20, said Mr. Jones. But Black Beans rushed forward, arms wide. "Gary, you old son of a bitch, I wondered if you'd turn up." Gary the Gray bowed with mock solemnity. His eyes twinkled. "Would Miss Baines, 71st-ish, is it? A number worth celebrating, though I can't quite say I've kept count." Well, children flocked around him instantly, for Gary had a reputation of being a magician of sorts. And no, he was not playing hide the sausage, or at least
He
someone
knew
who
all the
made
Roblox
strings.
games. He knew all the Roblox
Oh, God.
codes.
I bet
He was like, I
did.
can get you new skins on Roblox. And they were like, yes, sir. We love you, Gary the Gray.
Do you want to meet my mom? Have you seen that video?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
No, my son yesterday woke me up at 5 to try to explain to me how cool it was that Roblox was having an admin war or a battle or something. And I was like, sweetheart, I don't care, but this is my one day to sleep in. So stop talking. Okay, I'll just talk to you quietly in your ear.
They're worse than dogs. It's like, this is my one day to sleep.
I was
and
trying.
you
I was
decide
going to throw
come in here.
bacon outside. That's what I was going to do and lock the door like French Flintstone.
Adults.
Or at least throw it down the hallway and shut the door.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just like, why don't you go tell your dad? He's like, he's snoring.
He's snoring. Well, there's a reason why. Because we're
Like,
sleeping.
yeah.
Adults eyed him warily, for he had an equal reputation for trouble, but Gary only chuckled, accepted a plate of ribs, and settled himself beneath a party tree as though he belonged there. Well, the party grew merrier still with Gary's arrival. He told jokes, juggled sparklers, and to the shrieks of delight from the children produced small fireworks from his pockets that fizzed and popped in the air. Even Myrtle Goodbar cracked a reluctant smile when a firework burst into the shape of her own clipboard.
Bitch.
Frank watched all this with a sigh. He knew his cousin too well, and he knew Gary even better whenever Gary went. Things had a way of turning from cheerful to extraordinary, and extraordinary was rarely safe. And the afternoon wore on. The sun dipped lower, the lanterns flickered brighter, and the band struck up tunes both old and new.
Freebird.
No, it was...
Welcome to the shit show.
People danced, laughed, ate, and drank. Though no one said it aloud, everyone knew they were waiting for something more, for the real surprise, the thing that would make this party unlike any other. And if Frank's heart grew heavier as the sky darkened, he told no one. The sun slid low, casting long shadows across Circle Drive, and the lanterns in the party tree
shadows.
burned
I thought
brighter.
that said something else.
The band struck up a lively tune, and couples twirled in the street, their folding chairs long forgotten, while the children darted between legs with sparklers, torching everything that they saw. Teenagers clustered in loud knots, drinking and probably smoking weed, and even the sternest members of the HOA had given up
That smell
frowning
was.
in favor of, they say, another plate of ribs, but I think it was gummies. It was all
Hey.
agreed the finest party, the cheeks.
How do you
Don't
think
judge.
we do people time?
Don't judge. Don't judge.
Yet a certain expectant hush lingered beneath the laughter, for everyone knew that Mr. Blackbeans was not finished. He had promised surprises, and he was not a man to disappoint. The farts whispered of what it might be. Mrs. Pemberley was certain there would be a dragon, and though she could not say how it would fit into the cul-de-sac, Mr. Jones swore he had it on authority that fireworks were coming, fireworks so grand they would outshine the 4th of July. Myrtle Goodbar muttered about fire codes and emergency services, though her eyes darted about as eagerly as anyone else's. Frank and Bean sat on the edge of a cooler, nursing a drink and watching the sky darken. He had no appetite for guesses. He knew his cousin too well. When Mr. Bean said there would be a surprise, there would be one, but not the sort anyone expected. He felt the weight of it pressing on him, though he could not have said why. Gary the Gray, too, seemed to sense it. The old man sat beneath the party tree, his staff leaning casually against the table, his eyes never leaving Mr. Bean's as he bustled about. He smiled at the children, laughing at the jokes, and even joined in a dance or two, but only with the cougars because their t-shirts were wet. When he thought no one was looking, his expression was very grave. Go ahead. Oh,
At last, the band finished a tune, Timmy Wynette. The crowd caught its breath. Mr. Blackbeans climbed on the picnic table at the center of it all. He clapped his hands for silence and said, "Look, I know it's a grand Appalachian game, but skunk or chronic, let's keep it to a minimum, guys." And though there were
One of them follows you
nearly-
forever. Just saying. Just saying.
And though there were nearly 100 voices, the noise died at once. He just had that sort of presence, like a young Donald Trump, and mixed with, Prince. Kind of a weird thing to think about, but now you've got that image in your mind, so congratulations.
Picturing
dancing
Donald
high
Trump
heels.
in a purple outfit.
I am too. I am
Dancing
too.
in high heel shoes.
Moving.
And you just see him. My rain is purple rain, and it's the best rain you've
Look,
ever seen.
look, that was the greatest guitar solo ever. No one could ever
Come on,
top it. It was
Apollonia.
the greatest.
I love you. You're beautiful.
I love you all. This is the greatest crowd ever. Everybody says so.
I don't always cry, but when I do, there are doves.
So let's go crazy.
Everybody.
He had that sort of presence, boisterous, merry, but commanding when he wished. My friends, he cried, raising his glass high. My neighbors, my dear fellow residents of the Cheeks, my dingleberries, lend me your ears. A cheer went up, clapping. Someone shouted, speech. Mr. Beans grinned. His eyes twinkled, his shirt blazed with the chili peppers, and for a moment he looked younger than he had in years. Again, gummies are great. Yes, the speech, he said. Are there brownies, and does anyone know where I hid the Pop-Tarts?
Got weed in 'em?
By the way, the donuts stuffed under my couch are mine, and don't eat them. What's a party without one? You've all come, and thank you. I had the privilege of knowing each of you, or at least arguing and threatening to kick your ass over fence lines. I see you, Miss Goodbar. I have sent you Dylan's, with KY jelly, and asked if the HOA is going to screw me, that at least I have fun next time.
Throwing the purple dildos over the fence line.
I can honestly say that the Cheeks is the finest neighborhood in all the land. And that's not because I have a grow in the backyard. We've survived hurricanes, raccoons, HOA fees. It's because of the still I have next to it. We've eaten each other's casseroles. We've lived to tell the tale, but we never got our Tupperware returned. We are in short family. There was laughter, applause. Frank even smiled, despite himself. And Frank's heart took a nosedive into its spleen because he realized Mr. Beans intended to be honest. And fuck that shit. He should have left. He dropped his voice lower. The time has come for me to make an announcement. You see, today is not only my birthday, my 11st birthday, if you please, but also deuces, y'all. It's also the end of my time here among you. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Miss Pemberley gasped. Mr. Jones dropped his cup. He can't move. He's got a move-in violation and his license ain't even real. To which Mr. Bean said, again, screw you all. I have my own land boat. Goodoy. Myrtle Goodbar exclaimed, not until you pay back HOA fees. What nonsense is this? But as she was a woman, no one paid her any mind. Full story. You can go.
No, it's almost over.
Yeah,
Oh.
just finish it off.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
yes,
used to that.
said
Just finish
Mr.
it off.
Bean.
Oh.
Fair point. I've done it at least 6 times in my life.
Exactly.
Said Mr. Beans, nodding gravely. I'm leaving. And I don't mean that I'm leaving the HOA gardening committee that I, never wanted to sign up, but my parole officer said would count as community service. Though they could certainly use some fresh blood, and by that I mean pig's blood like Carrie.
Yeah.
I mean leaving
God.
the Cheeks themselves. I've had my fun here. Felonies, misdemeanors, things you guys don't even know about. More than my share of spice and smoke. Love you, Cheech and Chong. Siegfried, Roy, nice to meet you. But the road calls. Carnies and roadies, my friend. A wide world awaits. And I am not one to sit on my duff while there are other restaurants to go eat at. So bon voyage, y'all. Adventure beckons.
Like the welcome back a friend of mine. So there were shouts of disbelief, cries of protest. You can't leave us, black beans. What about the fireworks and the pudding pops? What about the chili cook-off next year? And who will give us our picture pages? Mr. Beans raised his hands for silence. I leave you all my thanks, my affection, in a freezer full of smoked brisket and
Dibs.
possibly a container full of weed.
Also dibs. Double dibs.
But I have one last trick to show you, one last little surprise to make this party worthy of remembrance, and I don't mean the entrance to my basement. Frank felt his stomach drop. He knew that tone. It had heard it before when Mr. Beans had filled the pool with bubbles, when he had accidentally launched fireworks into the mayor's backyard and destroyed his balloon animals, and when he had finished for months at a time with only a note that read, "Gone fishing," and a doodle of a dragon. He knew what was coming, and he wished with all his heart he could stop it. Gary the Gray shifted in his seat, his hand tightening on his staff. He was afraid he was going to burst.
Oh dear. Oh.
Mr. Beans smiled, spread his arms wide, and said, "Goodbye, fuckers. I'm out of here." And with that, he slipped a small dark ring onto his finger, and he vanished. There was a collective gasp, then a shriek, then chaos. The children screamed with delight. Magic, they cried, do it again. The adults shouted and craned their necks, some laughing nervously, others pale with shock. Mrs. Pemberley fainted into a chair. Well, at least she was asleep and shut up. Myrtle Goodbar
Amen.
sputtered, "Absolutely not. This is against every code." Mr. Jones dropped his cooler. Of course, he was like 10 sheets to the wind. But Mr. Black Beans was gone. For a moment there was silence, broken only by the crackle of lanterns and the faint fizz of sparklers. Then the crowd erupted into noise, shouts, laughter, confusion, much like my wedding night.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Some declared it a trick, others swore it was real magic. The children darted about, looking under tables, behind tents, like the cops trying to search my house. And the adults argued about mirrors and trapdoors. Frank stood frozen, staring at an empty spot where his cousin had been. He felt the weight of it settled on his chest, heavy and certain, like a large woman sitting on your face.
Oh, wow.
Black Beans was gone, and nothing in the cheeks would ever be the same. And across the yard, Gary the Gay's eyes met his, solemn and knowing.
That's it. We're changing it to Gary the Gay. He's like, "Come on, guys, we're going to San Francisco."
Come on, guys,
and I'm
we're
not.
going to.
I'm not.
We have
late.
to go find him in
I
San
am
Francisco.
Worth it.
We're going to the wharf.
Okay. Well,
Like, ma'am, I'm not late. I'm worth it.
if
Duh.
you guys have asked for
Shizzy's
it,
making revisions right now.
I'll make revisions. It'll be Gary the Gay from now on.
He's just like, "I can't wait for it to be June."
It's Pride Month.
He's just like, "Liza and Cher."
Gary the Gay. I like it. Gary the Gay.
The
Liberace.
uproar in the cheeks was something to behold. People shouted, argued, laughed, and swore in equal measure. Children raced about squealing that Uncle Black did real magic. This racism's killing me. While adults insisted it was a trick, though no one could agree on how it had been done, Mrs. Pemberley revived enough from her faint to declare she had seen smoke. Well, there was plenty of smoke, let me tell you. Positively seen smoke, though no one else had, because they were all high as a kite. Myrtle Goodbar thundered about bylaws, fire codes, and whatever the hell. She was probably still bitching about the 25 cents she didn't get to save at the grocery store on double coupon day.
Yep.
And Mr. Jones loudly proclaimed that he had known all along. Precisely what he had known was unclear. Diva.
The commotion lasted far longer than seemed reasonable, for farts in such places thrive on mystery.
Silent but deadly.
That's right. You never know it, but you'll smell it. Even after the band struck up again in nervous fashion, the children had been herded back towards the bounce house. The talk would not die down. At every folding chair and cooler, the questions buzzed. Where had he gone? Would he come back? Was it a trick? Was it sorcery? Was it legal?
Was he
not.
Methodist?
Was it?
Frank and Beans slipped quietly through the throng. I'm glad that didn't say thong. That would have been some other. Oh, Lord have
Well,
mercy.
you find plenty of thongs on the
Well, it was
cheeks.
written by Shizzy, so that's not out of the
I
realm of
never
possibility.
know. He had no wish to answer questions and even less to hear them. His cousin's words rang in his ears, and though he wanted to believe it was only another of Black Bean's pranks, he knew better. This was farewell, a real farewell, and there was something about that ring, the dark glint of it, that made Frank's heart heavy with dread. He found himself back inside number 3A, where the party noise was muffled by walls. On the kitchen counter lay an envelope with his name on it, written in his cousin's familiar scrawl. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was a simple note. Dear Frank, the time has come. Keep it safe. Keep it hidden. I trust you. BB. And beneath the note lay a small black box. Frank opened it and saw the ring, gleaming faintly, though no light touched it. A plain band, dark and smooth, yet it seemed to weigh more than its size allowed.
That's what she said.
Don't touch it.
No,
Don't
it'll be
touch
like,
it.
Don't touch it.
Don't
Oh
touch
my
it.
God. Like, don't touch it, girlfriend.
Don't touch
It's not
it.
sparkly enough.
Oh my God. How gauche. You know, you could probably trade that in for like real jewelry.
See, Diva, I'm not the only person that uses that word. Gauche.
Gauche. Yeah.
Gauche.
The gauche.
Well, I do when I'm putting on airs, like when I want to be a little uppity in
Yes,
Aldi's.
yes.
I'll be like, oh, how gauche. How gauche.
How gauche.
How
How
gauche.
gauche.
No, not gout. Gauche.
Gauche. Gout something else.
To be fair, people in Indiana don't know either, so they would think both would be an insult. Like, I am not gout. I'm like, no, you're Groot.
I'm Groot.
Groot.
Gout's
Might
the
get that
reason you
reference.
can't wear shoes right now.
Don't touch it. The voice made him jump. He turned and saw Gary the Gay standing in the doorway. His tall frame filling it, his eyes bright beneath shaggy brows. He stepped forward slowly, his
In a beautiful
staff
ensemble.
His staff tapping the floor.
Dear Lord.
Hey, be careful with that in the bathtub. We learned about that on the news.
See what happens when I miss
Wait,
Fridays.
Shizzy, it's you.
So, said Gary, he's really gone, left you at all, has he? Frank swallowed. Oh, it's just a ring, isn't it?
God.
Gary looked at him for a long time before answering. A ring, yes, but not just the ring. There's power in it. Dangerous power. Black Beans knew it, though he never told you. He carried it way too long and it wore on him. That's why he left. He couldn't keep it on any longer. Frank stared down at the band. It seemed to pulse faintly as though it had a heartbeat of its own. He felt a strange desire to slip it on his finger. To see what it would do. To hear what it would say. He clenched his fist instead. What do I do
not
with
the
it?
fist.
He asked. Well, keep it hidden, Gary said firmly. Don't wear it, whatever it whispers. I must go. I learned of its making. Dark forces stir, Frank. Forces that would claim it. And though all of us already, our eyes are turning this way, they will not stop. They will not rest. He felt the weight of Gary's words as much as the weight of the ring. He wanted to protest, to say he was only Frankenbeans, no hero, no guardian, but the words caught in his throat. Gary laid a hand on his shoulder. Listen, sweet cheeks, I'll be back. Until then, keep it safe. And with that, the wizard turned and left as suddenly as he had come, vanishing into the night in sparkles and glitter, while the party outside still rumbled with confusion and rumor. Frank stood alone in the quiet house, the ring glinting on the table before him, and he knew that though the party was ending, something far greater had only just begun.
Probate court.
Chapter
2. The Whisper of the Ring. For a short while after the party, life in the Cheeks went on much as it did before. Ricky Lake still happened. There was the occasional Maury, but things were normal. The lawns were trimmed, the mail collected, the bylaws enforced. And yet, everyone spoke still of Mr. Blackbean's vanishing. Some said that it was taxes, others immigration. Some even said alligator Alcatraz. It was the talk of every bull club and barbecue, though the story changed a bit with each telling. It never grew less marvelous. Some said he dropped through a trap door. Others claimed that he'd hired a magician, but David Copperfield hasn't been popular since 1998, so where the hell would he find him anyway? The children insisted he had truly turned invisible, but they're kids, and we know that they're not very smart. But they were delighted in pretend that he might all still be spying on them. Those kids need help. The coof scarred them. Now, Gary the Gay still lingered for a few days because, there were some cute guys he hadn't met in this
Smell
last
never
bit.
goes away.
Just long enough to quiet some of the wilder tales by, giving some of his own in beautiful ensembles and putting bitches in their places. Okay. Yep.
So there I was at Studio 54.
To make certain that no one was trying to worry about the jewelry of his best man friend, Frank, the ring remained in safe hands. But then he left, flitting away because Fashion Week and Bravo. With no more explanation than he had given when he came. But you can't cage a gay. You must release the gay. And if it comes back to you, then it was always your gay to begin with. I have business elsewhere, he said. Frank didn't press him, mostly because the Axe body spray and glitter were already going to be enough to clean up. And, he wasn't going to ask any questions when he saw Jack leave in the morning.
Glitter never goes away. It just doesn't.
So the keeping of number 3A fell to Frank and Beans. Now, having never acquired an occupation, adjusting to adulthood really confused him. He did his best to carry on as before. He tidied the lawn, nodded politely at other farts, and attended to small errands, the vape shop and dispensary. But a weight had settled upon him. The check cashing place still wouldn't advance his checks. And it grew heavier every day. With each passing day, the ring lay in that little black box. And the pawn shop was so close. Plain and unremarkable. Really, he'd only get about $5, so was it worth it? Yet he couldn't forget it. At times it seemed only a trinket, a namesake of his cousin, a lingering worry that it might have been a Prince Albert. At other times, especially at night, it seemed to watch him, which made those Prince Albert thoughts all the more creepy. The farts noticed a change in him. They saw he was quieter than before, though he'd never been loud. He walked more often. He's trying to get his summer body. Though he always really liked to stroll, and he smiled less, but he'd always been a realist, so his normal outlook on life and the stupidity of the farts meant that he didn't smile as much as the dumb ones. Though Frank never been one for many words. Again, fighting against the unarmed in mental battle just didn't appeal to him. He's becoming more like Mr. Beans, they said. They meant it as a praise or a warning, and he said, again, not till the probate goes through. Months went by. The cheeks settled back into usual routines.
Just can't get this damn thing off.
But at number 3A, the air felt different, mostly because Frank refused to join the pumpkin spice lost hay retardation that happens every fall. The whisper of the ring was never far away, and Frank was kind of ready to blow this town. So, those times when you kind of wonder if the plane goes down and you're just like, it's been a bad day. I hope I don't survive it, Look, Frank's a thinker, but he resisted. He began to feel like his home was no longer safe, as it had once been, but he'd often run with scissors, so, it swings and roundabouts. It was an uneasy peace that Gary returned to.
One evening, as the sun dipped low over the cul-de-sac and the potty trees swayed in the breeze, Frank heard a knock at the back door. It was a slow, steady knock, which is exactly what you need to do. Make sure you got plenty of lube now.
Yeah, tight grip, little twist.
That's right. Though it was not loud, it carried a weight that made his heart leap. He rose at once, for he knew who it must be. Open up, Frank, it's me. Frank opened the door, and there stood Gary the Gay, tall and looming as ever, though wearier than before, the cocaine having get to his body. His long coat was dusted with travel, and his staff tapped heavily on the stoop, though a little droopier than before. His eyes, bright beneath the shaggy brows, seemed to pierce the twilight. "You're back," Frank said, though relief and dread warred in his voice. "I am," Gary answered. He stepped inside without waiting for invitation, and the kitchen seemed smaller at once. His coat smelled faintly of, well, I would say smoke and rain, but let's face it, it was desperation and failure. Though no storm had touched the cheeks in weeks, he leaned his staff against the counter and sank into a chair as though he had walked a long and difficult road. "Okay, bitch, show me," he said. Frank hesitated, then fetched the little black box from its drawer. He set it on the table and opened it, and the ring lay there dark and plain. Gary flinched, though only slightly. "Yes, the same, the very same. I feared as much." Frank swallowed. "What is it really? My cousin, Mr. Beans? He never said." Gary lifted his eyes to Frank's, and they burned with a grave light. "It's older than you think, Frank."
Even older than Diana or Beanie Babies with
It's
Diana.
older than Cher. It's older than it's older than Cher's implants. It's older than the cheeks, older than this land, older than even the bylaws of the Homeowners Association. It was forged long ago in the fires of Mount Topeka by the hand of Lord Dingleberry himself. He leaned forward, his voice low and steady, as if he were reciting something remembered from deep history. This, Frank, is the one C ring. Gary rested his hands on the table, his eyes fixed on the ring as though it might leap up and speak for itself, and you probably don't want to know what it had to say.
Nope. But if you put googly eyes on it, it'd be funny.
Well, of course. When he spoke, his voice was slow and heavy, and Frank felt the weight of ages in it. Long ago, before the slam was parceled into cul-de-sacs and county lines and the gays just came over and took over, Lord
Before
Dingleberry...
Harvey Milk or voguing.
It was before everything was gentrified. Lord Dingleberry rose among the free peoples. He cloaked himself in fair speech, promising fairness and ease, a life without want, a world without hardship or judgment. The judgment. Many believed him, for he was cunning.
Not
And
coming.
his tongue was oh so sweet. But behind that smile, his heart was bent on pure BDSM.
Oh,
Mr.
Wow.
Newsome.
Gary's gaze drifted through the window as though he saw beyond the streetlights the older, darker skies. To bind the peoples to his will, he turned to craft. In the fire of Mount Topeka, a volcano no map should show in the flat heart of Kansas. Kansas, who the fuck would go to Kansas? He
Only
forged
Dorothy.
the rings of power. Gifts, he called them, though they were in truth chains, which kind of excites me.
He unleashed the Kardashians.
Unleash the Kardashians. 3 he gave to the Techlings who dwelt in their shining towers on the coast. They loved knowledge, and he promised them wisdom. They dreamed of equality, and he gave them socialism. It's more like communism. But what they thought was compassion became envy, and what they thought was justice became control. They saw themselves as guides of the world, but in truth, they were already ensnared. Now 7 he gave to the dwarfs of the Rust Belt. Stout folk who hammered iron. Oh, and you could see him at the lunchbox. Hammered iron and steel in Detroit and Pittsburgh. Who dug deep mines. Oh, they dug so deep.
Oh, God.
And forged mighty works. Oh, goodness. They loved their craft and their wealth, and Dingleberry promised them both would never fade. But the rings twisted.
Have you seen
their
Detroit lately? Dingleberry lied.
shithole.
Yeah.
But the
The
rings
dwarves are
twist-
like, we want a refund.
Hey, baby, we want a refund. But the rings twisted their hunger, their factories fell silent, their cities hollowed, and their greed for permanence bound them tighter to his purpose.
And the elves fled the cities in what would be known as the Great Suburban Elf Flight of 84.
Brentwood, here we come. And 9, Gary said, his voice dropping lower still. He gave to men of ambition, politicians, governors, speakers of crowds.
OnlyFans.
You know, people that are full of
Managers.
shit.
Influencers.
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 They love power most of all. And in their craving, they surrendered themselves like a good little sub.
Oh,
One by one, they were swallowed. Oh, goodness. until they became shadows.
Because Lord Dingleberry isn't a quitter.
Oh.
No. They became shadows, faceless and tireless. Their voices honeyed beyond but their wills were gone, like when you put the hood over the top of them. Then there are 9 you've heard whispers of, Frank, the influencers. And they wander still, seeking what their master lost. Gary leaned closer. His eyes gleamed, and the kitchen seemed darker. But in secret, in the fire of Mount Topeka, Lord Dingleberry made another ring, the One Ring. Into it he poured his malice, his cunning, his endless hunger to be, a dom. With it, he could bend every slogan, every mob, every council, every classroom, every
Even crack
bed
the barrel
frame.
to his will.
To his will. One ring to rule them all, Frank. And the ring is
A
here.
live, laugh, love sign in every crack the barrel. Because the reaction has been overwhelmingly positive, except for a few small vocal minorities.
And they don't like the minorities, so they got to keep them quiet.
And Frank, the ring is here in your keeping. The plain band and in the box gleam faintly, as if proud of the telling. Gary's voice deepened, and he sat straighter, as though the weight of the years pressed into him. But the free peoples did not bow to Dingleberry without a fight. His banners spread across the plains, his slogans echoed in the cities, his mob swarmed the streets, and free clinics everywhere had plenty of business. But still there were those who resisted. The dwarves would not yield. The techlings who kept a scrap of true wisdom, and the men of liberty who refused to be mastered. They made alliance with all those who cherished freedom. Dragons from the Rockies, riders from the Great Plains, and even a few trolls who had tired of his rules. For once, they stood as one. Diva.
Oh, okay. All right. The war was long and bitter. The sky grew dark with ash from Mount Topeka, and the earth shook with his power. Oh, many fell, and whole lands were scarred. Yet at last, in the fields around the volcano, they cast him down. Lord Dingleberry himself came forth, cloaked in fire and thunder, wielding the ring that bound them all. But he was overthrown. His hand was hewn from him, and the ring cut away. His body was broken, and his spirit fled.
I just love it. It's sounding so happy. It's like, and he was dismembered, and then
Bo's like, I know this chick.
I was like, this is the voice I hear in my head when I'm thinking things.
Gary's hand clenched as though remembering the sight. It should have ended then. The ring should have been destroyed, cast into the very fire of Mount Topeka where it was made. But men are weak, Frank. Always remember that. The one who held it claimed it instead. Just until peace is safe again, he said. Just for a little while. But the ring has no master but itself. It betrays all who try to wield it. So it slipped from his hand, lost in the turning of years, vanishing into rivers and shadows. And Gary's eyes gleamed. For a long age, it lay hidden. The world forgot Dingleberry, though his shadows lingered. But
And they
ring...
swore real Dingleberryism has never been tried.
Oh, but the ring never forgets. It has a will of its own. If it wants to be found, and in time it was. Frank's breath caught. By my cousin?
By the way,
Gary.
this is the accent that gets me excited. I just want y'all to know.
Oh, well,
Little inside baseball.
Yeah, of course it is. Yes. So Gary nodded slowly. Yes. Black beans, wandering where few dared, stumbled upon it. He thought it a trinket, a lucky find. He used it lightly for tricks and vanishings, never knowing the truth. But the years weighed on him, Frank. He grew
Like
thin.
a Disney adult.
Seen some shit, man. I've seen some shit. He grew thin, restless, and haunted. He kept it close always, and though he laughed, the ring laughed louder, and that's why he left. He could not carry it any longer. He passed it to you, and not in malice, but in hope.
Here's generational trauma. Have fun with it.
Ah, the sins of the uncle. Here you go.
That's the next book. The tell-all.
Gary's eyes burned into Frank's. For though you are no warrior, no, Lord, you are steady. The ring fears the steady the most, and now it lies in your keeping. Gary's voice fell lower, and he leaned nearer, as though the very walls might betray them. The ring has stirred again, Frank. Its master was cast down, but not destroyed. His body was broken, but his spirit lingers whispering from the shadows. And
Like
now,
CNN.
and
Or I guess it would be MSNBC, or is it My Spot now, or whatever the hell it's called?
I think either one works.
Yeah.
and now his servants are abroad. I've seen them. Shizzy.
Frank felt his stomach twist. Demanding coach. Gary nodded. The very same. 9 are here. Though they're men once proud and ambitious, now they're only shadows. They're faceless and tireless. They wander the roads in black cars with their little headlights dimmed, whispering through every crack and corner. They hunt not with eyes alone, but with fire, with scent, with the whispers of the ring itself.
Sounds
They're
like
the
gangs.
influencers, Frank, and they're coming. Oh, so hard. Frank shivered. The memory of the rumors returned. Farts muttering about strange men at the edge of town, knocking on doors, asking questions with voices too smooth to be trusted. Where's Mr. Baines? Who is his heir? Where's the
Ring lights in hand.
At the time,
Like, subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We're going to go talk to this guy.
At the time, Frank had thought it was mere gossip. Now he knew better. They will come to the cheeks, Gary went on, his eyes burning. No bylaw, no boundary will keep them out. They'll smell it, Frank. Ah, they'll smell it
The
on
clout.
you. And if they find it, they will carry it back to Lord Dingleberry. With his strength will grow again. The world will be shackled all up. Frank's hand clutched around the little box. The ring seemed to throb in answer. As if pleased to be spoken of, he wanted to throw it away, to fling it into the street and be rid of it forever. But he knew it would find its way back, as it always had. What am I to do with it? He whispered. Gary straightened. His voice was firm. You must keep it hidden. Do not wear it. Whatever it promises, you cannot remain here. The cheeks is no longer safe for me. Already the 9 they draw near. We must
So
take
much
it
for the prison
far.
market.
You think he'd be excited if 9 drew near? I'm
She's
just
no longer
saying.
safe.
We got to take it to Rivendell, where the wise might decide what must be done. Frank shook his head. Leave? Well, shit, man, I ain't ever been no further than the next county. I could just walk away from everything.
Why would you leave the 5 counties?
That's right. Never leave.
Well, you can, Gary said softly, and you must. The choice is no longer yours. The burden has fallen to you, Mr. Frankenbeans, and you will bear it, or the world will. Frank sat back, staring at the little black box as if it were a coiled snake. The ring lay within, dark and plain, yet it seemed to pulse faintly, and the whisper stirred again in his mind. Take me, wear me, be free, be safe, be seen. He clenched his fists and looked away.
Like a pride parade.
Well, shit, I can't, man. I can't leave this shit. Everything I known is here, man. The house, the street, the farts, even the HOA. I don't belong anywhere else, man. I ain't no adventure down son of a bitch. Gary's eyes softened, but his voice remained firm. I know, and yet, Frank, this choice is not yours alone. The ring is a burden, and whether you will or no, you've been chosen to bear it. If you stay, the 9 will come. They will tear down those fences. They'll break every lock and drag you from your own doorway. When they do, oh, the world's going to be so darker.
Kinky.
Frank said nothing. He could hear the faint sounds of the cheeks outside, the hum of sprinklers, the bark of a dog, the laughter of children riding their bikes down Circle Drive. The neighborhood seemed peaceful, ordinary, safe. But now he knew it was not. Gary leaned forward, his eyes burning in ambition. There's no hiding, Frank. Come join me. There's only delay, and every delay makes the danger so much greater. You must leave, and soon.
It's
Not
easier
alone,
if you just
perhaps.
give in.
Just give in. It's going to pinch a little. There may be friends to walk with you, but leave you must. Franks closed the box, though the whisper seemed to seep through the lid. His hands shook. He felt small, smaller than he had ever felt, and very much afraid. Shit, man, I don't know if I can do this crap, he murmured. Gary placed a hand on his shoulder. Few ever do before they try. But it's not for the strength alone that you were chosen, Frank Beans. It's for steadiness. Hold on to that, and you may see this burden through. For a long time, neither spoke. The crickets chirped outside. The hum of sprinklers faded, and the house was still. At last, Gary rose, took up his staff, threw it over his shoulder, and turned to the door. Think on it, but don't think too long. Already the 9 are getting closer to you. All 9 inches are getting closer to you. And he was gone, leaving Frank alone in the quiet kitchen. The ring, heavy in his keeping, and the shadow of choice, heavier still.
All right, chapter
Good
3.
God, I thought that was one chapter.
On the road from Circle Drive, Frankenbeans did not decide quickly. He was more of a planner, and he wanted to take, clean underwear. For many days after Gary's warning, he tried to carry on as before. I mean, it was Gary the Gay, and he thought that jazzercise was still a thing. So honestly, historical events, he wasn't quite sure he was going to believe him. So he carried on as before, trimming the hedges, fetching the mail, giving polite nods to the other farts. Outwardly, he seemed the same, but inwardly, he was not. For whenever he looked down Circle Drive, the road no longer ended at the stop sign. In his mind, it stretched far beyond into strange lands and stranger perils. Again, I cite Disney adults. The ring never left him, like his ex-wife. It lay in its little box, but the whisper of it was always near, again like his ex-wife. Sometimes it promised him safety, sometimes greatness, and sometimes only escape. But it wasn't tic-tac-toe, so that bitch lied. At night, it kept him from sleep, and by day it waned in his pocket like a stone. Still he hesitated. The cheeks was safe, or at least it seemed so. The lawns were neat, the bylaws thick, and the farts predictable. To leave, it felt impossible, yet Gary's words clung to them. They will come, the 9. How will come. At last, he knew he could not delay. He must leave Circle Drive, though every step away would feel like tearing up roots. But then he remembered, I went to high school with all these assholes, and I didn't like them then, and I don't like them now. But how and when, and most of all, could he Uber there? Was it a Delta or a Spirit Airlines connection? Because he was choosing life, so Delta was the only way to go. It was in a state of mind that he found his friend Sam Pickens kneeling in a flower bed. Now, Sam was his neighbor's son, and though he spent He had spent so much time at number 3, he had almost considered himself, well, half a being himself. He was stout, cheerful, stubborn, with a love of gardening and an ear for gossip. Flaming. Once more, Frank caught him listening outside the window when Gary was speaking.
Creeper.
Well, look, it was on his regular peep tour, and it was the only house that he respected enough not to leave the songs alone. So he was a good friend. That evening, Frank came upon him just as Sam was pretending to be pulling the weeds, though his ear was plainly turned to the open kitchen door. "Sam Pickens," Frank said sternly. Sam leapt up, red-faced. "I wasn't listening. Well, I mean, not with my listening devices that you know about all that much." "Well, not much. Anyway, I only heard a bit, and the rest I make up anyways when I tell people stories. But I've heard enough, Mr. Frank, enough to know that you're planning to ditch this hellhole." Frank sighed. "Okay, and what of it?" Now Sam stood straighter, dirt on his hands and determination in his eyes. "Then I'm coming with you. I would like to see Dollywood. If you're going down strange roads, I have a foot fetish. You won't go alone. Not while I've got legs to walk." Frank shook his head. "It's no garden stroll, Sam. It's danger. And worse, I can't ask it of you. And I don't want you to come."
Hey.
Sam, well, they hadn't been out to dinner yet. Look, Frank isn't cheap. He at least needs dinner like a Whopper and some onion rings.
He's a lady.
"You don't have to ask," Sam said. "I'm coming whether you like it or not. The bathhouses alone in Ribbittail would get me there." And that, Frank realized, was that a decoy. He didn't have to run faster than the influencers, just faster than Sam. Frank had not yet decided when to set out, or how, when trouble found him again in the form of voices outside the window, but at least they were outside his head, and he felt comforted by that knowledge. He went to the porch and found Kyle Peterson, known to everyone as Pip, leaning against the fence with Mark Miller, whom the neighborhood children had long ago nicknamed Mary. "What in the absolute hell are you two doing here? Probation let out early? AA meetings not happening?" Frank said, more sharply than he intended. Pip grinned, unbothered. "We heard y'all was going to Kentucky to get some fresh cigarettes without taxes. I mean, going to Rivendell.
Need some scratch-offs.
Looks better up there.
Look, my girlfriend's pregnant. I need to go look for some milk and cigs. I'll wait till you're out." Pip grinned, unbothered. "Hey, we heard Sam's going on a road trip, so we're coming too, right?" Mary nodded, more serious, but no less determined. "You didn't think you were going to go to Vegas without us, did you, Frank?" "Not without us noticing. And the bugs that we put in your house. We've seen the way you've been walking around lately.
A little
Stick
stiff,
up your
a little
ass.
sore, a little sore from Gary the Gay.
Looking like you swallowed a bad secret. Whatever
God.
you're up to, you'll need friends. And also, more prison wallets, the better." Practicality. Frank groaned. "This isn't a weekend outing. I'm not going to Vegas. We're not going to, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. No. It's dangerous. It's more dangerous than anything you can imagine." Pip puffed out his chest. "Dangerous? Please, we survived Myrtle Goodbar in the nude."
Why do you think we got to get out of here?
"Why do you think we got to get out of here? Look, we didn't give her the $25 to not see what her boobs look like after gravity. We didn't pay it, and we're sorry now. Hell, Godwin over there turned into stone." Mary elbowed him. "What Pip means is that you'll be safer. Like, again, you only have to run faster than one of the 4 of us. 3 heads are better than 1. Especially when only 1 functions," Frank thought. "And yet, we'd follow you anyway. Might as well let us walk with you." Frank thought, If elected, I will not serve. If nominated, I will not run. And yet these people continued to follow him. Sam crossed his arms and nodded firmly. I told you, Mr. Frank, you won't be getting rid of us that easy. Frank looked from one to the other of these stupid outside cats, the gardener, the moron, and, well, again, the expendable one, and felt a mix of despair and contentment.
Nice red
Again, he
shirt.
knew the odds were more in his favor if he brought other victims. And deep down, maybe they would calm the voices in his head by voices outside his head. Very well, he said. Now listen, I'm going to have you sign an NDA and a non-indemnity thing.
And remember, when the zombies are chasing you, you don't have to be fast, just faster than the other people with you.
Yes.
And laying down the greatest of all life's rules on a road trip, pre-road trip, in the words of King Cusco, no touchy.
No touchy.
If we go together, then we go together, but quietly. We're playing the quiet game. And soon, the less notice we give, the better.
I'm
three
curious,
of
how
them
well does that work, Mo? Especially on your end, the quiet game.
I'll tell you if it ever works. I don't think my children have been quiet
Gotcha.
ever. The three of them exchanged eager glances. Again, the short bus team was just excited to be picked for this team. The snozzberries taste like snozzberries, as though they'd just been invited on the grandest of adventures. Every day's an adventure when you don't remember yesterday. And though Frank tried to scowl, he felt the tiniest tug of a smile because he did enjoy stupidity sometimes. Frank and Beans made his plans in secret. He said nothing to the other farts, answered no questions about number 3, and pretended to go about his life as usual. But inside, his mind was fixed, and he would leave soon. He packed quietly, taking only what he could carry in a small duffel because the assholes at TSA threw out all of his good shit the last time. Some food,
Bastards.
a change of clothes, a flashlight, and a little black box that never left his pocket. He left the kitchen as tidy as he could bear, though his hands lingered on the counter and the cupboards, as though the touch of them might hold him back. Or, he was just killing time. At last, when the sun had set, the cul-de-sac had grown still, Frank slipped out the back door. Now Sam Pickens was waiting at the hedge, sturdy and ready, with a small backpack on his back. Got everything, Mr. Frank? He whispered. Gummies. Everything I need, Frank said, though his voice was heavier than words. Now, not far down the sidewalk, 2 figures emerged from the shadows. Pip Peterson and Mary Miller, whispering very loudly and shoving each other like the Tibble twins from frickin' Arthur. You're late, Frank hissed. Not by much, Mary said cheerfully. Besides, everyone's asleep. Pip grinned, his arms full of snacks. I brought munchies. Never know when you'll need them. Frank rolled his eyes, but eyed the Malamars and secretly, put dibs on one or all of them. Sam only muttered, best let him carry 'em. He won't shut up otherwise. So the 4 of them set off together, walking quietly down Circle Drive, their shadows long under street lamps. It felt at once both ordinary and strange. Kind of like, imagining that your mayor is wearing fishnet stockings while he's giving the address. You're pretty sure it's happening, but it's odd to think about. Strange to be walking at night with no intention of ever coming back. A dream that Frank had had for many years. When they reached the corner, Frank paused. He wished he had lit the bitching house on fire, just, and walked away with the explosion like a badass. He looked back at number 3, at the windows dark, at the party tree swaying faintly in the breeze. The house had been his whole life, and God, he wished he'd just let it burn. For one moment, he thought he saw a light flicker in the kitchen, but then he remembered that he had, bring security. His heart ached, and he turned away. This is it. We're leaving the Cheeks. And with that, they crossed the stop sign at the end of Circle Drive and stepped onto the road beyond. At first, their journey didn't seem much like a journey at all. The road beyond Circle Drive wound past familiar homes, though there were some questionable signs and some bumper stickers that made him wonder how these people functioned as humans or even brushed their teeth in the morning. But live, laugh, love, and coexist, y'all. Good luck with that. The four friends walked with low voices, and for a time they felt as though they were only out for an evening stroll. Fall storm?
Sam Pickens carried himself steadily, his pack neat and well balanced. His eyes on the road. Pip Peterson, on the other hand, lagged behind after only a block. Loudly insisting the bag was too heavy until Mary pointed out that it was filled almost entirely with chips and soda and weed. Pip defended him stoutly. You thank me when you're starving. I also got some Doritos. Mary only laughed and offered to carry the soda. Pip would stop complaining. Dear Lord, what a little bitch. Frank walked in silence. His mind was full of number 3, of Uncle Blackbeard's booming laugh for the quiet kitchen where Gary the Gay had warned him. Every step away felt heavier, but he would not dare turn back. He left the cul-de-sacs behind and came into the darker roads between the neighborhoods. The lines grew patchier, the houses fewer, and before long, they were walking past empty lots and fields grown wild.
If you could sing In the Ghetto as Carmen, because you know he would, he'd be like,
There's a thing he don't need is another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. In the ghetto. In the ghetto. The air was cooler here, and the night sounds, well, they were sharper. Funny, Pip whispered. How different it feels at night. I've been this way dozens of times, but now it looks like a new place. You know, kind of like every time I get wasted. That's because it is a new place, you dumbass. Mary said softly. Oh, I'm sorry, it was softly. We're not just out for a walk. We're getting the hell out of here. Sam nodded, though he kept his eyes forward. Best keep your voices down. The dark carries sound farther than you think. They pressed on. Now and again they stopped to rest in the shadows of trees, sharing bites of bread and swigs of soda and a little bit of the beef log. Pip's chips, to no one's surprise, made far too much noise, and Frank hushed him until he sucked. It was in such pause when the others were eating that Frank froze. What is it? Sam whispered. Frank shook his head, straining to listen. Somewhere behind them, faint and low, he thought he heard a sound. The quiet roll of tires on pavement, slower than it should have been. He peered back down the road, but the darkness was thick and the street lamps far apart. Nothing, he said at last. Well, nothing I could see. Of course, haven't been to the eye doctor in a while. But the uneasy weight in his stomach grew. They walked in silence. And though no sound followed, Frank found himself glancing back more often than forward. The road that had once seemed so safe now seemed full of corners and shadows. The night was still when it came, and then they had just rounded a bend where the road had dipped between two fields. The tall grass whispering on either side. Frank stopped suddenly, and the others walked into him. Listen. At first there was nothing. Then faint and steady came the sound. Tires on pavement, slow and deliberate. A car was approaching, but not as cars usually did. Oh, no, no, no. Its engine was too quiet, its pace was too slow. As if it crept rather than drove. Frank's heart started. Off the road, quick. They scrambled into the tall grass, crouching low. Sam pressed close by. Perry pulled Pip down by the arm. Together they peered through the stalks. The car came into view. Black, old, and gleaming faintly under the streetlights. Its headlights were off. though the lamps glimmered faintly red at the edges, like eyes half shut. It rolled to a halt not far from where they'd hid. For a moment there was silence. Then the driver's side window eased down with a soft creak. A shape leaned out, no face visible, only the outline of a head beneath the hood. The air seemed to grow colder, and Frank felt the hair on his neck rise. And then it came, the tug. The ring, hidden in his pocket, seemed to grow heavier. That's awkward. Pulling toward the road, a whisper filled his mind. Put me on, just for a minute. He won't see, you will be safe.
Make
His hand
it lame.
Do what?
Make it gay and lame.
Make it get, make it get lame. I need it more lame. More gay. His hand twitched toward his pocket before he caught it. Beside him, Sam whispered fiercely, "Don't do it, Mr. Frank." Frank clenched his fist, forcing them still. Yeah, the whole time I listened to this, I'm surprised somebody didn't go, "Chopper!" The shape of the window tilted, as though sniffing the air. The silence was so deep. Frank thought he must hear the pounding of his heart. Pip whimpered like a little bitch, and Mary clapped a hand over his mouth, because it was a little bitch. At last, the car rolled forward again, slow and smooth, until it vanished around the bend. The night sounds returned, the whisper of grass, the chirp of crickets. But the four friends did not move until the last echo of the tires had gone, because let's face it, at this point, they had all shit themselves. Only then did Frank breathe again. He pulled his hand from his pocket, shaking. "They're here," he whispered. Gary was right. The 9 are here. How do you fit 9 people in the damn clown car? Must be a bunch of chulos. They stayed crouched in the grass a long while, listening to at least Frank motion them up. The road lay quiet, empty as if nothing had passed at all, but the air still felt colder. "Let it here!" Pip muttered, brushing dirt off his hoodie. That was no carpool. That was a straight up drive-by is what that shit was. Keep your voice down, Frank hissed. Keep back. We almost got bagged by the Grim Reaper's Uber. And you're worried about volume? Mary cuffed him lightly on the back of the head. Shut it, Pip. He squeaked like a hamster in a blender back there. We'd all be roadkill if Frank had to clamp your mouth shut with his eyes. I didn't squeak, Pip said indulgently. Sam started. You did. You sound like my aunt's chihuahua when the vacuum comes out. Even Frank cracked a small smile at that, though it faded quickly. His hand strayed away from his pocket, where the ring lay heavy, silent now, but waiting. Laugh all you like, he said softly. But that was them, the 9, and they'll be back. For a moment, no one replied. Then Mary tried to lighten the air. Well, at least we've proven one thing. What's that, Pip said. That you can, in fact, keep your damn mouth shut for 30 full seconds if your life depended on it. Sam chuckled under his breath. Pip swore he'd get his revenge, and for a few steps their laughter pushed the fear back. But the road stretched on. And the fields grew darker, and before long the four of them walked in silence again, listening for the sound of tires in the night. Sweet.
By the time they reached the edge of the developments, their legs were sore and their nerves were frayed.
It's the projects.
Section 8 housing.
It's the projects.
The street lights had grown scarce, and the pavement gave way to cracked asphalt that seemed to lead into nowhere. On one side stretched an overgrown field, and on the other loomed a line of trees, where the suburbs had given up trying to tame the land. "Oh, you should stop," Sam said at last. We've put a good distance behind us. Best eat before we all fall over. Frank agreed, though his mind urged him on. They slipped into the field, found a hollow behind a stand of weeds, and dropped their packs with weary relief. Pip flopped onto the grass with a groan. Oh my God, my feet are suing me, he announced. Like class action lawsuit, Pip versus shoes. You wear flip-flops, Mary reminded him dryly. Like they're tactical flip-flops? Pip shot back.
I'm using that one day.
Tactical flip flops. Yes.
Extra breathable.
Actually, that's the name of my punk band.
tactical flip-flops.
Remind me when we get off air to tell you.
Actually,
the name
that's
of
my
our
political
punk band.
party. I'm starting a new one. Tactical flip-flops. Look, at least I'm the only politician that's not going to lie to you. I have tactical flip-flops. I didn't have a change of heart. I didn't have like a change of opinion. It just polls better.
Extra useless, Sam muttered, unwrapping a sandwich. They ate in silence for a while, bread and cheese. Frank had packed chips and soda Pip had insisted on bringing, which crunched and fizzed far too loudly for Frank's liking. Still, the food steadied him, and the ordinary act of eating felt like a small victory.
Now, Shizzy, is this a sandwich or a sandwich?
It's a sandwich.
Sandwich.
Sandwich. Okay.
Well, it's probably a sandwich because a guy made it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ah, sandwich.
Sam, yeah. When they were full, Mary stretched out on the grass. Not a bad start, eh? We're fugitives from the HOA, dodging.
Oh my God, we have to do Robin Hood in the HOA. Harry Potter in the escapes the HOA.
I don't know why that's so funny, but that's hilarious.
We need to make a
Fugitives from
Dungeons
the
and
HOA.
That would be hilarious as a shirt.
straight out of the HOA. Straight out of 99 Problems and a Bylaw Ain't One.
That's right.
Dodging creepy cars in the night, and somehow we still have snacks, man. Call it a win. Yeah, Pip said with a smirk, until Gary shows up again and tells us we're headed straight into the zombie apocalypse. Sam frowned.
Don't joke about that.
I wasn't joking, Pip said, but his grin gave him away. Frank lay back, staring up at the sky. The stars shone cold and distant. For a moment, he could almost believe they were only on a camping trip, foolish lads sneaking out for mischief. But then he felt the weight in his pocket again. Oh my, and the whisper stirred, said, they are close, they are hunting. Put me on and you'll be safe. Oh, well, he closed his eyes, fighting it back. When
It
he
was
opened
just
them,
the weed.
what did that weed have it laced with? What was in there?
I didn't
Look,
know
that
you
was
like to
Gary's-
get wet.
That was Gary's mugwise stuff. He told you not to smoke it after midnight.
That's PCP, Angel Dust, Sherman Hemsley, Love Boat.
When he opened them, Pimp was already snoring. Mary was half asleep, and Sam sitting watch, looking at all of them sleeping in a creepy way. Frank felt a rush of eroticism for the moment, and then he doubted that they knew what shadow they had stepped into. He shifted on the grass, pulling his jacket tighter. The night was far from over. They set out again before dawn. The night had been restless, but no dark car had passed, and that gave him courage. Sam led with quiet steadiness. Frank kept his eyes on the road ahead and snuck a glance at Mary and Pip's butts as they were walking in front of him. Annette filled the silence with a muttering argument about the best kind of gas station snacks. It was an odd conversation.
Dog will hunt.
Hey, there are like food groups of snacks at the gas station. You got your savory, you got your sweet, you got your, chocolate, your gummy.
Look,
I mean,
you got your sweet snacks, or like candy bars and stuff. You got your chips, you got your beef jerky, you've got, let's see, you've got the baked goods, as I call it. It could be pizza, it could be burritos, it could be the stuff on. You have your roller stuff, like your hot dogs and your little whatever those.
You
are
have
called.
that like one lone banana that's seen some things.
It's already turning brown. Yeah.
And then you got the good stuff waiting just outside the door as you're leaving. Sorry.
Well,
Oh my gosh. I'm so off track now. Shizzy, it's your turn.
The morning was cool. The road wound between tall weeds and empty lots where the skeletons of half-buried houses stood. Their shadows stretched long and thin. The silence was broken only by the call of crows and the crunch of gravel underfoot. By midday, they stopped again in the shade of a rustling billboard. Pip sprawled dramatically, claiming death by exhaustion, while Mary dug through his pack and Sam fussed with a thermos. Frank sat apart, staring down the road. It was then he heard it again, faint at first, then clearer, the slow roll of tires, too measured, too careful. Get up, said Frank sharply. No. Sam was on his feet at once, but Pimp groaned. Can't a guy die in peace? Up! Frank snapped harsher than he meant, but the sound was closer now. They scrambled into the weeds like a couple of rodents at the roadside, ducking low just as the car came into view. It was the same as before, black polished, its headlights dim, creeping like a predator. It rolled to a halt not far from the billboard. The windows slid down again, and a faceless shape leaned out. This time it spoke. Where is he? The voice was low, smooth, and cold. It carried across the weeds like a chill. Where is Baines? Frank's hand flew to his pocket. The ring pulsed hot against his palm. The whisper filled him. Put it on. He will not see you. He will pass you by. The fingers trembled towards it. Sam gripped his wrist. No, don't put that on. Frank froze, his sweat on his brow. The faceless figure turned its head, sniffing the air. For a dreadful moment, Frank thought it would step from the car and walk straight into the weeds. Pip's teeth chattered. Mary held him tight, his own face pale. Then slowly the windows slid up, and the car rolled on, vanishing down the road. The four of them stayed hidden long after it was gone. Only when the birds began to call again did Pip mutter, his voice shaking, I vote we never do that shit again. But Frank said nothing. He stared at his hand, still trembling from the ring's pull, and he knew the danger was only beginning. The road bent away from the empty lots and dipped towards the low ground where the weeds gave way to a ragged pasture. A wire fence ran crooked along the roadside, and beyond it stood a weathered house with peeling paint surrounded by sheds that leaned like old drunks. A hand-painted sign dangled from the gate in slanted red letters that said, "Keep out. Trespassers will get an ass full of rock salt."
Oh my God, I want that on my front porch.
Friendly
I so
place.
need that. I so need that sign.
I'm just saying, because you don't know, rock salt could be a party for them. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know who's a masochist.
True.
And I'm here to help.
Sure.
It's masochism, and I help.
You're a giver, Mo. You're a giver.
I am.
Giver.
Giver of rock salt. Before Frank could hush him, a voice barked from the shadows, and just who in the hell's jawing outside my damn fence? Out from the yard came a man in mud-caked boots and faded overalls. His beard was wild, his dreadlocks were hanging, and he was looking at you with sharp eyes as glass.
this
Two
Valhalla?
big mutts. Yeah,
I know, I was about to
so.
say Valhalla.
Two big butts padded at his heels, teeth flashing white in the flashlight beam. He swung towards him. Frank flew up his hands. We mean no harm, just passing through. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England, you little son of a bitch, McGucket growled. He jabbed the flashlight towards them. You don't look like salesmen, and you damn sure don't look like neighbors. Been too many slick-talking strangers sniffing around here lately. Black cars, hooded types asking questions with voices smoother than butter, but twice as rotten. You wouldn't know anything about that, would ya? Pip opened his mouth, but Barry slapped him upside his fucking head. Frank swallowed. I've seen them. They followed us. McGucket narrowed his eyes, chewing us over, then spat into the dirt. Figures. They were just in my head. They came past here last night, slow as snakes, sneaking up my road with their nonsense. Told them if they didn't move on, they'd get a belly full of rock salt. Sam, who'd been quiet, nodded respectfully. That's about what they deserve. McGucket eyed him, then the others, and finally jerked his head towards the gate. Fine, get your asses in here before they come back. Dogs will raise hell if they sniff them out again. Inside, the house smelled of wood smoke, fried onions, and gun oil. He shoved them towards the table, slapped down bowls of stew, and poured
Sounds like
mugs.
paradise.
I know. Poured mugs of black coffee that they could have melted a spoon. Eat, you little sons of bitches. Don't waste time with thank yous. You need your strength more than I do, and listen close if you're headed east. Keep your asses off the main road. Stick to the back trails. Cut through the lights. Follow them there power lines if you have to. Those black cars ain't prowling by accident. They're hunting something, and I got a feeling it's sitting right across from my goddamn table. Frank shifted uncomfortably, the ring like a stone in his pocket. McGucket's eyes were sharp enough that he thought the farmer might see right through his jacket, but the man only jammed a finger. You keep moving, Beans. Don't you stop till you're far from here. If you're one of them bastards in a black hood shows up my gate again, I'll give him exactly what that sign promises. He grinned then, a flash of crooked teeth, and for all his crank and bite, Frank felt strangely safer having met him. Well, they thanked Farmer McGucket and his vag farm as best as they could, though he waved it off with a grunt and muttered, just get gone before you drag more trouble to my doorstep, you little bastards. Dogs barked as they saw them out the gate, tails wagging as though they knew more than their master let on. The night had grown thicker, the moon smudged by clouds, and the road ahead seemed narrower than before. They walked quickly, speaking little. Pip, usually subdued, clutched his pack like it contained something precious. Murray kept glancing over his shoulder, and Sam walked close beside Frank, steady as ever, though his eyes flicked off into the ditches on either side. It wasn't long before they heard it again, the low hum, smooth and steady, drifting on night air, tires on pavement. Frank froze off the road.
Bass off in the distance.
Bass off in the
with a rattling trunk.
They darted behind the stands of trees at the edge of the field, crouching low as the hum grew louder. The thud, the 808 kick. The black slar slid into view, its headlights dim, moving like a predator sniffing the wind. It rolled to a stop right where they'd been walking. The window lowered, a shadow leaned out faceless under its hood. The silence pressed down until even the crickets fell quiet. Where's Baines? The voice whispered. It was smooth but inhuman, like oil poured over a stone. Frank felt the ring burn in his pocket. The whispers rose in his mind, urgent and sweet. Put me on. He cannot see you. He'll pass you by. His hand twitched towards it. Sam gripped his wrist again. Don't you little son of a bitch. He breathed, fierce as steel. Shadow tilted his head, sniffing the air for a fart. And for one terrible moment, Frank thought it would climb from the car and come crawling through the grass to find him. Pip's teeth chattered. Mary held him tight, his own face pale. Then slowly the window slid shut. The car rolled forward, creeping down the road until its hum faded into silence. It stayed hidden until the night sounds returned. Only then did Frank release the breath he'd been holding. That's 3 times now, Mary whispered. 3 times we've nearly been caught. How many times before we aren't so lucky? Frank said nothing. The ring was heavy in his pocket, the whisper still echoing in his skull. He knew the answer. Not many. They rose, gathered their packs, and pressed on into the night. The road lay dark before them, and though they walked together, each felt alone under the weight of what hunted them.
Perfect.
Middle school.
Middle school.
Oh my God.
Chapter 4, the
I
road to
love
the
it.
back door.
It's the redneck Lord of the Rings. This is perfect.
I know.
The 4 of them walked through the night into the dawn. Their feet ached, their packs dragged at their shoulders, their eyes darted at every sound. Twice more they thought they heard the hum of tires, but the road stayed empty, and each time they pressed on until their breath was ragged. When at last the sun rose, pale and red through the haze, They saw before them a cluster of crooked rooftops and a flickering street lamps, the Motel 8. The sight filled them with relief, for though they rented their rooms by the hours, they promised to change the sheets. Though unease still knotted at Frank's heart, he was a bit of a germaphobe. "That's it," Sam murmured. "That's the back door."
That's
the
it.
back
We
door.
found it. The back door.
Fantasuites. It was not like the cheeks, though it lay not far beyond, almost mid-thigh. The cheeks were trim and green, the lawn square, its fences neat, as farts comfortable in their little routines. The back door was older, rougher, less ashamed of itself. The streets bent where they pleased, its houses leaned where they stood, and its people, so it was said, were a mix of wanderers, looners, and perverts. Degenerates, really, not unlike chat. I'm just kidding. Those who wanted no questions and asked no answers. Few farts ventured here, but the fun ones did. And fewer returned with fond stories and without the clap. At the edge of the town stood a rusted gate with a sagging sign that declared, "Welcome to the back door," in peeling paint. The
There's a
gatekeeper
sign?
dozed.
Oh, it's called a tramp stamp.
Yeah. The gatekeeper dozed in his folding chair, a mug of coffee in his hand, squinting at them as they approached. "Strange hour to be walking. Did you lose your license, or did you not have one of them speedy little mopeds? What's going on here?" He muttered. "Not from around here, are you?" Frank's mouth went dry. He thought of black cars, hooded faces, lack of VPNs. He dared not say too much. "Just
your
passing
Wi-Fi
through," he
password?
managed. The man studied them for a long moment, shrugged, and waved them on. And he said, "First, would you like to hear about your car's extended warranty?" "Keep your noses clean. The back door is not as forgiving as the cul-de-sac that you crawled out of." And he said, "Look, sir, I've crawled out of my mother, and that's weirder." They passed beneath the gate, and the road behind them seemed to vanish. Ahead lay crooked alleys, buzzing neon, faint thud of music that grew louder at each step, kind of like a Midwestern Amsterdam. Frank's hand strayed into his pocket. The ring was quiet for now, but he felt it listening. Like Siri, always listening. The streets of the back door were nothing like the cheeks. There were no tidy lawns, no clipped hedges, and no bitches from the HOA. All in all, it was kind of a fucking paradise. The roads bent at odd angles, cracked, patched with tar. The houses leaned together as if whispering secrets. Was this town designed by the people that built my house in the 1970s, had no access to a level or a square of any kind?
Wait a minute. This is Broadway in Nashville before 2010.
Yes, it is.
Neon signs blinked. Liquor, tacos, psychic readings, pawn shop, attorney at law, stray dogs nosed through overturned trash cans. People were stranger still. They lounged in doorways, leaned against lampposts. All in all, acted like they were YouTubers. Shuffled past with their collars high. They looked at Frank and his friend with sharp, measured eyes, the kind of eyes that would strip you down to see what you were worth, but also realized you were kind of broke, and God, they wished they had a better class of tourists that came to this joint. Pip muttered, "Bloody hell, smells like beer and bad decisions." "My mother isn't here. Shut your gob," Mary hissed, though his own nose wrinkled. "You want them to hear you?" "I can't help it," Pip grumbled. "I've never seen the back door before. It's bigger than I expected, and honestly, they censored a lot on YouTube." Damn Japanimation. Sam snorted but despite himself. "Well, everything's bigger in the back door, Pip. Like Disney World. Best keep your mouth shut before it gets you in trouble." Frank shot both them a glare, but it was too hard to laugh. Or to not laugh. The jokes felt dangerous here. as though the walls might be listening. Zuckerberg. Yet the laughter eased his fear a little. They pressed deeper into the town, and the music growing louder. Music,
Deeper into the back
shouting,
door.
clatter of glasses. A fight broke out at the alley as they passed, someone yelling, "World Star!" Two men grappled, and a small crowd cheered them on. It wasn't as cool as a chick fight because there were no weaves, but money was still being exchanged, and foul jokes were, accompanying it as well. "Friendly lot," Pip muttered. "Friendlier than the black cars," Sam muttered darkly. At last they came to the heart of the back door, where a crooked street spilled into a wide square lit by buzzing lamps. And there it stood, the inn they had heard whispers about even back in the cheeks, the Galloping G-String. The sign swayed on rusty chains, painted with a horse mid-leap as a saddle, nothing but glitter strip of cloth. Colored lights pulsed from the windows. And a thudding beat rolled out on every time the door swung open. Laughter poured into the street, mingled with smoke and the smell of chicken wings, beer, and something Frank didn't want to name, but thought it might have been cured with bleach.
Wait, I think I've been to this place.
Probably.
Sam
hope
muttered,
not, but-
"Well, here we are, the Galloping G-String. Never thought I'd end up here. Not even trying to pay for my first course of college." Mary smirked. Beats only feet. Looks like the sort of place Pip would call home, though. "Oi," Pip snapped. "I got standards. OnlyFans. Besides, lights on. Though the lights are nice." Frank stood still for a long moment, staring at the end. He had thought he would feel safer when they reached the back door, but he realized that a safe word isn't something that just pops in your head like Nancy Pelosi topless.
Oh God, I didn't need that visual.
But the weight in his pocket told him otherwise. The ring was quiet, yet somehow he felt it lean toward the glowing doors. It too liked cheap hot wings, cheaper women, and looser morals, as if it were eager to see some tatas and some nips. "Come on in," Frank said quietly. "We can't stand out here gawking. We're not perverts. Let's take a full look." Deep dive. The Galloping G-String was alive with noise, smoke, and color, which hid that one of the strippers had a cast on, and not in the place you'd expect.
Oh God.
The music throbbed from the jukebox, something with a bass line that rattled the floor, that crappy country rap.
Oh God.
Every table was crowded with patrons, louder and more glittery than the last. Men in leather vests leaned closer together. Women in sequins danced with one another under flashing lights, and others of undeterminate attire and gender. It's 2025. And to calculate all of that took more brain power than Frank had, quite frankly. The algebra of your uniqueness is your own, and I don't have an abacus, he thought, laughing like the whole night belonged to them. Full storm?
Well, and if you want to hear more of this, well, you have to tune in next week because it's about that time.
Yes, it is. Ah.
Tune in next week and bring your friends.
Yes,
Yeah, all
'cause
of them.
It's going to get spicier. And make sure that you check out Mo in the Deep End tomorrow. She'll be on after I'm done, or during while I'm going. Something
While
like that.
while you're going, yeah.
It doesn't matter. She'll be there.
It's like a madrigal circle. We're like slightly synchronized divers.
Yes,
Slightly.
unintentionally. It's been completely unintentional. It's like she streams in the morning, I stream in the morning, and it just sort of like it flows like the wind.
It
Or something.
does.
And then of course make sure you go check out Diva and Volstorm. They have this little thing. What's it called again?
But
Down Home Network.
well, it's called Down Home Network. It's also called Caliber and Character. And one day we'll actually put out new content. It's coming soon, I promise.
Yeah, one day. One day.
One day.
Yes, maybe not, and maybe not says like, share, subscribe, and get to a Shizzy to 10K. But before I do that,
Ooh.
we've got 10 gifted memberships from
Woohoo.
maybe not that
Nice.
says
Welcome to the shit show.
every
Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of rocks. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, balderdash, poppycock, olives, and fuckery. Every all over again.
I listen to this
also
show
Roger-
way too much.
Also, Rider Chick 64 has become a new YouTube member. Thank you so much.
Teresa!
I love Teresa.
It's our girl.
Yes, she's one of our favorite writers. Make sure you go and check Teresa out also. Everybody, see you on the flip side.
Oh, I know what you want. Come feel this sensation. Sliding smooth and low like a secret invitation. So smooth. Every tone whispers soft. Can you feel it? The undertow. Pull me closer, baby. You know where I wanna go. Ooh, feel it, baby, nice and slow. Ooh, yeah, I let your rhythm consume my soul. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, listen to my sweet surrender. Now that feels so soft, I know, so tender. Let your body sway, baby, my voice has you glide